evening. We'll call the Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whoops. That's not the agenda. There we go. Once again, good evening. We'll have our roll call.
Commissioner Disick, Commissioner Scussel, Commissioner Nordmal,
Present.
Commissioner Robinson,
Present.
Chair Stansberry,
Here.
Commissioner Hammond,
Present.
Commissioner Hillman.
Present.
We have a quorum. Has everyone had an opportunity to see the agenda? If so, we'd like to take a motion to approve the agenda as prepared.
I'll motion to approve the agenda as prepared.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Whoops.
Joe's got it.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Has everyone had a copy to review the meeting minutes from the July meeting?
Yes.
If so, if there are no corrections, we'll take a motion to approve the minutes from the July meeting.
I'll motion to approve the meeting minutes from our July meeting.
Second?
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. We move to item 5, which is our public comment. If there's anyone that has comment regarding items typically that are not on the agenda, you can come at this time.
Right. Well, as you know, I'm Diane Anderson, and I want to comment about basically crypto, but also other items that have been on the agenda past and present. I want to talk to you about what it was like when Lathrup was an upper middle class neighborhood with a walk-to neighborhood. These are some of the businesses we had. You could go to your doctor, your dentist, your chiropractor, your lawyer, your insurance agents like the Finellas and the Conklins. You had NBD, the bank, you had Federal Savings and Loan, you had the beauty salon, the barber shop, you had builders, you had Ruse Pharmacy, and at one stage dentist drugs as well. You had manufacturing agents, the AAA was at the corner of Lincoln and Southfield. You had real estate agents, you had Zip Printing, you had your travel agent, you had Munson's Cleaners who did so much for the community. You had the AMP store, you had a jeweler's, you had a really expensive art glass place called Habitat Gallery. You only had one restaurant because we didn't want a two-tiered citizenry, and we know you don't put restaurants in or you'll have people who have to live with that when their houses are by it. The one exception was Colonial Dining Room because there were no houses around it, so nobody was disturbed. And these businesses closed down at 5:30 or 6, except for Colonial, that closed down at 8. And that's because in a bedroom community, you want your businesses closed. We also, in the 60s, got a Baskin-Robbins, and they got to stay open until 8 o'clock so you could get an ice cream cone. It wasn't a big business, but that's what we had. And I raise that because I have to look at the businesses that have come in since the DDA has taken charge. I see cryptocurrency now on the agenda. Not a surprise when you have smoking shops, when you have check cashing. And I simply have to say about crypto, it's the last nail in the coffin for basically turning Southfield Road into a working class strip mall. I'm concerned that this committee and the council have become the servants of the DDA rather than the reverse. The DDA was created because the council was to say, this is the kind of things, what I've just read to you, that's the kind of place we are, that's what we want you to bring. And instead, now the DDA simply seems to say, anything goes if you can make a buck. It's a falsehood when counselors tell you that private property can't be controlled. It can, and we did. That's how we had the beautiful Lathrup that we had up until about 10 years ago when things changed. I'm urging you because I think we are at a crossroads, and I think that you're dangerously close to losing any chance to retain what Lathrup was. There's a group called Main Street USA, and I've researched them. They're basically a job creation thing for the people who have jobs, whatever Susie's text role was. Instead of preserving our buildings, look at the monstrosity they're talking about desecrating this building. It's important that you maintain the quality, the integrity of your commercial area and your public buildings just as much as your homes.
Thank you. Was there anyone else that had a public comment? If not, we'll move on to item 6, old business and tabled items.
There's nothing tonight.
Okay. Seeing no old business and table items, we'll move on to number 7, new business.
So, as most of you know, tonight is our chairman Les's last meeting. So we will need to elect a new commission chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. So I wanted to bring this to your attention so that you all could take a look at the bylaws. If you need a copy, please let me know. I can provide it to you. It's also attached to tonight's meeting agenda in the meeting packet on Municode. So please, while we look forward to our September meeting, consider if you would like to volunteer for one of these roles or who you would like to nominate for one of these roles. So when we come in, we can have a discussion and we can go over who we would like to nominate and vote for those roles. And if there's any discussion you guys would like to have tonight, we got time to do so.
It's not a hard job.
I've got a bit of discussion.
Okay.
First, thank you and congratulations to Chairperson Stansbury for your many years of volunteer commitment to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Thank you.
Personally, I'm going on something like a year and a half on this commission, and observing you in action has done wonders for me in terms of understanding the procedures and orders of meetings like this one. So I thank you for that. And also your kind of even and measured response to leadership is very appreciated by me. So thank you for all the above. A question for you, Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I took a preview at the rules of procedure.
Yes.
And in the elections portion of them, it talks about how each January the commission shall elect from its membership a chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. For the purpose of what we'll do at our next meeting, will we be electing somebody to fulfill the August through December of it all, and then we'll re-decide again come January?
That was my understanding and approach. I would like to confirm that with Scott, that would be appropriate.
Typically, I don't think we did elections this January. Typically, they're done every January, so yeah, my recommendation would be to appoint to fill the interim period. Also because I believe, Jason, you're still the vice chair, correct?
No, I don't think I actually have an office.
Oh,
No.
I thought you were the vice chair, 'cause didn't you run a meeting a couple?
I did run a meeting,
Yeah.
but as,
So you're not supposed to technically hold an office if you're a liaison
Right.
position, so we need to clean that up a little bit and
Yeah.
get the appropriate people.
Okay. Is there anything you saw in the bylaws that at this time would be something we should address, or?
No, I don't, again, I think it's appropriate to name a chair, like I said, obviously with Commissioner Stanberry's departure, we need to fill that role,
Mhm.
and like I said, it wasn't clear who the acting vice chair was, and so we need to just make sure that those officers are appointed, and we can get back to the normal schedule in January.
Okay, is there, should we make an appointment for a temporary for next month's meeting, or would it be appropriate for Jason or someone else to run the meeting? How would be the best procedure?
Do we know who is the acting
Actually,
vice chair?
I forgot. I'm sorry.
wasn't it Will?
No,
Will was the
Will
secretary?
was the secretary, but I mean before, who was chair? The gentleman that was chair, he just,
Is it Tamarelli?
Bo Tamarelli was
Yeah.
not the chair. I was the chair before you were the chair.
No. Yeah, but I was vice chair.
Right, I was chair, you were vice
You were chair, and when Jason became on city council, then I just kind of fell into chair, and Will was, he was secretary, he became vice chair. So now that Will's not here, and this was the last day, this was the last of my term, there really is not a vice chair. So there's not a step. And we never did, like you said, we didn't have elections in January. We kind of just kept going. So we don't really have a secretary.
No. So that's something we can resolve next meeting, but I think between now, we should nominate somebody just for the
Well, we
to
can
start the
open,
meeting.
actually, the clerk can open the meeting next month.
Okay.
And then the first item, we can appoint a chair,
Okay.
and then we can go through the rest of the.
Okay, sounds good. And if anybody in the meantime has any questions, please don't hesitate reaching out. We can always bring Scott into the conversation. And also just start considering who you think would make a good officer, or if you think you would like to take on that role, please consider it during this next month. So when we come in, we can address it and move on to next business. And thank you, Les, for all you've done, and
I
you've done a
appreciate it.
fantastic job.
I wanted to thank you as well. And, you know, I've been in this role through more than one, quote, administration, I guess that's the best way to put it. And I think we have collectively gotten a lot accomplished. Despite some of the concerns and issues and the differences that we have, the goal was always to continue to move forward. And I think we've accomplished that. So I enjoyed it. It's been a great experience. But like my wife said, at some point, it's time to come home. So I'm really looking forward to another resident having the same opportunity that I had. I mean, I think it's been 6, if not longer than 6 years that I've been on the commission. So, it's a challenge, but it's still fun. And the people are really nice. We don't always agree, but that doesn't mean we're not nice people. That's right. And we're all still trying to get to the same goal. I will say one thing that I think is very important, though. We have to, or you all have to, you're gonna have to address the master plan.
Absolutely.
That was the one thing I kept saying, I really hope we have the opportunity before my term is up to kind of start getting into the weeds of the master plan, because it really needs to be, brought up to the current, it was put together at a time frame where things were different, development was different, costs were different, the people were different, the expectations were different. And I think if we're going to continue to move forward, we're gonna have to really focus on getting the master plan to match the current people. Because a lot of us have changed. All of us have changed, actually.
You're absolutely right. And the point of a master plan is to be the North Star, the guide for how development in the community is going to grow. And the last go-around when the master plan was updated was during the COVID lockdown.
Right.
So there wasn't a great deal of public participation because there just wasn't that ability to be face-to-face. And luckily, we do have a great plan for moving forward with our master plan and having significant public involvement. The city council has, for this fiscal year, put funding aside for the updating of the master plan. But I'd also like to point out at this time that due to the efforts of our Community Economic Development Special Project Coordinator, Tom Kennedy, and his efforts to get our redevelopment ready certification from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, they have given us a $28,000 grant to update our master plan, which will lower the costs and the burden on the city, and it will also allow us to move the timeline along sooner. So we are hoping to get that going in the next couple months and having that be a jumping off point. So
The council actually approved a contract with Giffords Webster to help do the master planning process last night.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Giffords, because obviously, I remember when Jill was sitting there. we had that conversation about the master plan when I first got here, and we talked about how it needed to be updated, and there were a number of things that we tried to address, but there's been a lot that has taken place in that time. But I think you're right, Austin. The master plan is, as you said, quote, the North Star, and everything feeds off of it. But we just need to kind of bring it current.
Yes.
I think that's probably the best way to say it. There's a lot that's in it that made a lot of sense at the time. And because, I've got a background in development, I understand at the time it made sense, but financing's different.
Absolutely.
Expectations are different, and Lord knows some of the future residents are much younger. So the expectations of what they are looking for in a community are different. But for the people who are gonna watch this later on and think, do I wanna get on a planning commission? It's actually very, very educational, and it's a good way to give back to the community. It does take some time, and, one of the good things was they sent, at least we have gone, they sent us to some of the Michigan,
Planning Association.
thank you, classes that helps you really get a handle on understanding, how really involved this is, not just from sitting there, how it affects the entire, state as well. We're just a small piece
Yeah.
of a much, much bigger plan. But it is, I think it's an experience a lot of people would really enjoy if they took the time and to dedicate the time. But you have to be willing to dedicate the time. You can't just say, I'm gonna sign up on a commission, think you're gonna show up once a month, vote yea or nay and say, yes, I'm here, and then go home. There's a little more work to that.
Yes.
But it's fulfilling. Well, since I said it now, I don't have to say it at the end.
I think you're right that it is a commitment. It's something that someone has to be willing to take on. It's not just showing up on the third Tuesday at 7 o'clock and turning things on. You gotta prepare. There
Yes.
are reports that need to be reviewed. You need to get a decent grasp of the master plan.
Yes.
You also have to learn the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, the Open Meetings Act. And it can be interesting and exciting for most people. And it's an opportunity with this open seat for somebody who wants to be involved in their community and help their community grow and prosper and help guide what the community desires. And especially now with us in the next month or two kicking off the master plan, it's an interesting process, the updating of a master plan. And especially with, as you said, all the changes that have gone on since the last, with what people expect, how people want to live, what people expect from their downtown, the businesses, that it's changing, and COVID kind of sped up that change.
Yeah.
So, and our master plan's a little dated at this time.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that we are jumping off with that right now, because there's a lot of opportunities for this community moving forward. I'm very excited, but the master plan guides all of the development. It guides how these site plans and ordinances are reviewed, and they all flow into one another, and they all come out based off of that master plan. And anybody who's interested in being a part of their community and giving back a little bit, this is a great opportunity. So we ask all of those who are involved, please submit an application, then get in touch with me, or get in touch with Elisa, our city clerk, and we can get the application to you to be submitted. And so far, we've gotten some really qualified, fantastic applicants, so
That's good.
I'm excited for this next chapter, but we are gonna miss you, Les.
Make sure you tell them that once you get on the commission, everybody who lives around you thinks you're gonna know everything.
Don't tell them that. Let them find out on their own. It's
Yeah.
entertaining that.
It is entertaining, but you just can't escape it. It's like, aren't you that guy?
Yeah.
I was walking the dog. Aren't you that guy? Yes, I was that guy. Do you know? I have no idea.
But you do get to know what's going on in your community more.
You do get to know a lot more. But
And you also get to kind of understand exactly why things are done a certain way. Sometimes it seems like, why would anybody want to have this be the process for opening a business? Or why
Why
can't
does
I?
it take so long?
Yeah, why is
Why are there so many processes? Why do you have to vote on this? Why can't you ask for that? Yeah, you learn all of that in the process.
there's a process to the madness.
There's a process, and you end up learning that there is a process.
Yes.
It's just not happenstance.
Mhm.
There's a method to the madness here. Well, with that, we can move on to item B, which is the 26021 Southfield, Suite 103. Site plan review.
Yes, we've received a application from Babylon Printing for a site plan review for a screen printing business in one of the suites at this location. The site plan for the reuse of site plan, or Suite 103, is located in 26021 Southfield Road. It is for a proposed screen printing business service use, subject to the conditions of our zoning ordinance. The proposal is a change of use within an existing building in our mixed-use district. It requires Plan Commission approval because no prior approved site plan is on file. So when this building was proposed and was built, a site plan was submitted, and it was probably done when hard copies were kept and those files weren't digitized. We did a long, exhaustive search for the site plan, but we could not find it. If we would have been able to find it under certain circumstances, when a site plan is on file, we can approve changes of use administratively, but because no site plan was found, we asked the applicant to come, and luckily we have Eric from Giffords Webster who did site plan review and drafted a report for all of us, which you've been provided. The applicant proposes to convert the 312 square foot suite from a tailoring shop to a screen printing business. The business will operate at a small scale using textile stock such as t-shirts, hat, tote bags. They even brought some cups here, as you can see, that how they will be using the ink cartridges to do this printing. No bulk chemicals or manufacturing equipment are proposed to be used on site. Both the prior tailoring use and the proposed printing business fall under the same parking standard, which is 1 space per 200 square feet. With 16 existing on-site spaces, including 2 handicap accessible spaces, the parking supply was found to meet the tenant requirements. Therefore, the change of use does not increase parking demand at this location. No exterior changes are proposed. The applicant does not propose exterior building or site improvements, such as lighting or landscaping improvements. They will remain as existing. The site meets mixed-use district dimensional standards for lot size, building height, and setbacks. The plan set does not show a formal dumpster enclosure, but Eric was gracious enough to do a site visit and observed that there were rolling trash cans adjacent to a 6-foot wooden fence, so that requirement is satisfied. And also, prior to operation, the applicant shall obtain all required city business licensing and any applicable health department standards for printing business and operation. And the applicant is here to answer any questions you all may have.
So, yeah, so just about the site plan. So you've seen the site plan. Now we have a site plan for this building where we did not have one before, and there's literally nothing of concern relative to the ordinances in the site plan that you now have in your possession.
So essentially, we don't technically have a site plan per se. We received a floor plan drawing showing the layout of the space that would be occupied in Suite 103, but we don't technically have a laid out site plan for the site. So for example, we don't know specifically the sizes of the 4 other units, but because the subject tenant space is 312 square feet, we just applied that to the other 4 because they appeared to be relatively the same. So taking a worst case scenario that if there were any of the 4 other tenant spaces that were larger than the 312 square feet, that the parking lot essentially has the capacity to apply 1 more parking space to each one of those uses. But for example, I think the tenants are laid out in the table on page 3. So there's a barber shop, a salon, The subject printing service as proposed. There's a personal service use and then a retail, real estate, services. So they're very basic. The parking requirements are listed here. So given that there's 6 additional parking spaces, we feel that because those aren't changing, those existing uses, that it would just be maintaining the existing conditions as they are.
Yeah, I think it was noted that there haven't been any complaints about parking and with the existing businesses, so there's no reason to believe that there would be any parking issues.
Yeah, so if what was being proposed had an increased parking demand, then it would be something we may have a little bit more concern over. But because it's the same as the Taylor that was previously there, it's just kind of rolling over into this new use that has the same demand for parking.
The applicant is here with the property owner in Nashua, so if you have any questions for the property owner, she's here as
Good
to.
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm the property owner. My husband bought the building in 1980, so I've been in that location since 1980 as a real estate and property management office. And he passed away in 2022. So I remained in the building. I'm a real estate broker. I've been a broker since 1989. And I manage properties plus manage my building. As Austin mentioned, that we've been there. We never had any issues, no problems, thank God. No police, at the site. Like he said, the salons in the basement, most of them, the female salon, she's there for like Thursday to Saturday, so the parking is not an issue. I have a barber shop that he's usually there. Sometimes my alarm comes on at 6 o'clock in the morning. He has people who want to cut their hair early in the morning, and by 2 or 3 o'clock he's gone. And the tailor was there for 17 years, and customers come in and out, so they're not there to park for all day. Beside me, if I'm there all day, and I'm not there most of the time, I'm an interpreter for the state of Michigan since 1980, so I'm in courts most of the time, and I do my real estate in the afternoon. So, parking, like he said, is not an issue. And after the Taylor decided to retire, he was with us for 17 years. Mr. Al-Salahi showed an interest to lease the same location on a small scale. And he was doing the printing at his home on the side. He's a contractor. He remodels properties, and he owns some properties. So I knew him before he wanted to rent my space because he does some remodeling on the property management side. So that's why I told him to show, bring some samples. And again, it's not a big factory that he's going to have people in and out. We hope that he gets to that part. But it's going to be on an order basis, and I'm sure when he starts, it's going to take a while to build that business. But he's very, talented. He knows what he's doing. He printed all my real estate signs, all my business cards, all my calendars. So it's not that he's coming to start and he doesn't know what he's doing. He has the knowledge, and he's capable of what he's doing.
Great.
Any questions?
Well, first, my condolences on the passing of your husband.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, sorry to cut you off. He
Sure.
was on the board, I don't know if a planning or the city council, for years. He served
Really?
with the city.
Really?
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. And thank you for your longstanding dedication
Thank
to
you.
owning property and running businesses in the city of Lathrup Village. I appreciate that.
Thank
And also, it's obvious that you're very vested in your tenants because you know a lot about your prospective tenant here, and that's meaningful, I'm sure, to them and certainly to us and the community at large, so thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
A question for the two of you. It sounds like they're essentially here on a technicality because we don't have a site plan on record, probably on account of the age of the building. Is that an accurate way of putting it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say so. We did extensive search through our hard files to look for the site plan.
Sure.
And none was located. And in our digital files, there was nothing for this address.
Sure. The question tangential, not really related to what we're discussing here, but if this barber shop in the basement of this building wants to become a printer a few years from now, will this process continue to repeat itself for as long as it needs to? Or is there something the city can do to allow for things like administrative review to move forward, going forward, so that we don't have to bring people in for things like this?
So technically, we would need a site plan. So a formal site plan that represents, you know, the building, the full site, the parameters, and the layout of the tenant spaces within to make that full assessment, to have the ability to approve the site plan,
Okay.
to put it on file. And so we're just going off of the information that we have from the applicant, which was, again, a floor plan layout, which we were able to determine a square footage based on that. You know, we can measure square footage based on the perimeter of the building and that sort of thing. We did a site visit to determine the number of parking spaces that are on the site. And thankfully, because nothing else is changing, there's no exterior improvements that would trigger further analysis. That may be what's required to require a site plan, a formal site plan, if there were exterior improvements being proposed. But since there's not, and it's just a change of use, then it's understood that, you know, what's occupying the space, whether it's 100% accurate or not, is essentially the same intensity as what was there before.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure this and future planning commissions won't mind continuing to have these conversations as many times as we have to without a site plan on record. However, especially for the sake of the building owner, I would suggest, if you feel strongly about getting a site plan on record so that your prospective tenants don't have to continue in this process, assuming they're going to use the space differently from the past. I think, and certainly I don't blame this administration, obviously this site plan was lost a long time ago, presumably, but I think the city should try to accommodate that in the interest of the building owner.
Yeah, and once we have an approved site plan on file that we can make reference to each time there's a changeover in the tenant space,
Yeah.
then it's that approved site plan that we can make reference to that allows us to do the administrative review, and if it's approvable, to move forward with permitting on that. So it's just because we don't have that, the ordinance says that administrative approval is not an option, and that it has to come before the planning commission for consideration.
Just a couple of questions, just really quickly. Is it Mr.
Al-Salahi.
Al-Saleh? Welcome. Your business, will there be a requirement for chemical storage for the paints that you use for your screen printing?
This was a discussion we had quite extensively with the applicant regarding what the process would be of the printing.
You can show it to him. This is the size of the ink that he's gonna use. It's
Okay.
not gonna be any barrels or any tanks or anything on the side.
So just like small boxes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just different colors, but of this size. Yeah.
And then as far as disposal, you can dispose of those in the receptacle on the outside of the building with no
Yes.
issues, that it wouldn't have to go to like a Sakra or,
Not that, no.
okay. And then as far as any ventilation, will there be, so would you have to do a remodel? If you're going from a tailor, like one of the things I do, I sew. So as a tailor, you don't have a lot of emissions. But with screen printing, and do you have to have like a heat press or anything? And does it create, smell?
يقول لحن الهيت راح يسوي هواء بالجو. No? ما يسوي؟ Yeah, there is no smell. There is, it doesn't need as far as the amount of the ink he's gonna use, it doesn't need ventilation.
Okay, and I would figure because it's a barber shop and a beauty salon in the building,
Mhm.
the building is gonna be, have that type of ventilation available that he could plug into if necessary?
That was exactly our thought process as well, Joe, is that similar to the salon and barber shop, they use dyes
Yeah.
and different chemicals
Yeah.
for perms, that it would be very similar type of odor and fumes, which, to our understanding, does not cause a nuisance to the fellow tenants in the building at this time.
And would you have to do a remodel, or you're able to just go in and use the location as is?
No, there is no remodeling. He's just gonna maybe clear whatever the tailor had, maybe paint or something, but that's about it. No,
Okay.
no walls or change, because it is a 2 office space, so he's gonna have the printing in the back and maybe his
Yeah.
office space in the front, and
Okay.
that's it.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Just wanna pass it down. Just in case. No one wants to see it.
Interested?
Were there any other questions for the applicant or the owner or staff regarding the site plan? Excuse me.
None for me.
None for me.
Nope.
What is the motion required of us at this time?
We just need a motion to accept, excuse me. We need a motion. This is not really a site plan.
It's an accept the change of use,
We need a motion to approve, wait a minute,
change of use.
to recommend a change of use for 26021 Southfield Road, Suite 103.
It's
It
actually,
should be a motion to
Approve.
approve, not recommend.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to send this to the council to approve.
yeah, don't do that. We don't want
The
it.
last time I was sitting here, we were sending something to council. We need a motion to approve the change of use for 26021 Southfield Road,
I
Suite.
so move.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Which one, Nordmo or Robinson? Who? I
Nordmo.
mean,
Nordmo.
Hillman or Robinson?
Robinson, which one?
Hillman, I'll take it. She got the last one.
All right.
It's been moved and second to approve the change of use for 26021 Southfield Road, Suite 103. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Don't forget this.
Oh, your ink.
And the products are very nice.
Scott, before we go to the next item, we did have a public hearing scheduled for the solar ordinance, but we're gonna have it come next month. Do we need to make any motions to change that, or is just putting out a public notice
Yeah,
sufficient?
just, we need to, you can, we can have a motion to change the date from this body, but it just needs to be re-noticed
Okay.
with the correct date.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, this is new. to
This
me.
is the solar energy
Yeah, we had
ordinance.
originally set a public
Oh, it's-
hearing for August.
We
And
set that in June. Was it June?
yeah, we scheduled it for this month,
Right.
but the public notice couldn't have been published in time
Okay.
because of Southfield Sun publication, so we decided to push it to next month. So we will publish the notice, but, and motion does need to be made.
Yeah, I would, for, again, just for consistency,
Continuity.
because this body did
Mhm.
make a motion setting specifically a date for it, so. let's,
Okay, so I think right now might be a good time before we go into the next proposed ordinance addition.
So you want a motion to set a public hearing for solar? Solar energy system. Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't have the calendar in front of me. For
I have
the,
the date. It's September 16th.
for September 16th.
Right. So I'll make a motion to publicly notice, or set a date for a public hearing for the solar energy systems ordinance at the next planning commission meeting on September 16th, 2025.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Has it already been put in the Southfield Sun, or are you gonna make it?
It will be published in the Southfield Sun in its next edition.
Okay, so it'll make the date.
Yes.
Okay.
The next item would be for,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You said,
Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did. You said, so.
Does it have to be 30 days?
it has to be 15.
Oh, 15,
Mhm.
yes. I'm thinking 30 days because it's like today's the 19th, so sorry.
You did say it out loud.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm-
So we do have a new ordinance, and we do have a public hearing for it. It is for the registration of cryptocurrency ATMs.
So we're moving on to item C now.
Yes.
So we have a public hearing this evening,
Mhm.
excuse me, for cryptocurrency ATMs, the ordinance. We're gonna open up the public hearing
Mhm.
now. So if anyone is here regarding the public hearing for the cryptocurrency ATMs, please come to the podium. We ask that you give your name and street name. I'm sure we all heard the little, I'm sorry, what the little bell sound, so.
Yes,
3 minutes, right?
3 minutes.
Is there anyone here that wants to speak on the crypto ordinance for the public hearing? Not all at once. Okay.
Well, I can't speak more strongly against it. You said last month that there is one of those ATMs in the petrol station, the gas station, on the northeast corner of Southfield, and there's one in that one on Lincoln. You talked about the lack of regulation. You talked about all of the problems associated with crypto. We've gone through this before. We've had the .com bust. We had the the real estate bust. We've had so many busts. And this has all the markings of a Ponzi scheme. It's unregulated. Our president has gone on record once again stressing we're not going to regulate. There are people who are easily sucked in. That's why we have all of these con jobs like the .com bust. And the notion that when you've already got two of these things nearby, you would need another one in Lathrup. It speaks volumes about the morality of a community, the kind of businesses that you ask in. And when you're asking in what is effectively a Ponzi scheme, you're really hitting a new low. There is no demonstrable need for this in Lathrup. There's really no demonstrable need for it in the whole country. And I think when you've got them so close anyway, there's no reason for Lathrup to go down in the gutter with these others.
Is there anyone else here for the public hearing? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open it up for discussion.
This was one of the reasons why City Council asked the Planning Commission to look into a ordinance to regulate the use and installation of cryptocurrency ATMs in the city. In 2022, the FBI reported a loss of fraud accounting to $2 billion. In 2023, there was a 53% increase, which accounted to $5.6 billion. And last year, in 2024, there was a loss of $9.3 billion in cryptocurrency fraud. The U.S. Department of Treasury and Financial Crimes Enforcement Network and the FBI advisories describe how scammers use unsolicited calls, texts to direct victims to cryptocurrency ATMs and note the tech and traceability problems. The Financial Crime Enforcement Network guidance highlights the need for operators to retain logs and cooperate with local ordinances and to register these machines directly to address their cooperation and logging the problems that come along with them. The Federal Trade Commission, Consumer Advocates, and AARP reports that this type of fraud disproportionately targets older adults. Local regulation and on-machine warning materially improve traceability and speed law enforcement response and provide vital point-of-sale education to prevent irretrievable transfers. Several states have recently enacted or considered kiosk registration and operating rules, such as in Maryland, which requires registration and gives regulators enforcement authority, deadline, and penalty structures within the bill. Midland Just this past year, a gas station attendant stopped a potential $20,000 scam of an elderly resident. Local tools such as machine IDs, operator contact information, and post-it warnings would let staff and bystanders act faster. Transactions are irreversible, making point-of-sale warnings vital and effective. Consumer protection agencies emphasize that cryptocurrency transfers are typically irreversible, which is why warnings at the point of purchase and easy reporting contacts materially reduce losses. That's why staff recommends the commission adopt the proposed ordinance language to allow cryptocurrency ATMs in the commercial vehicular in mixed-use districts, subject to registration, consumer disclosures, operational requirements, and civil penalties. The proposed approach balances legitimate commercial activity with targeted consumer protection safeguards to protect residents from fraud while permitting legitimate cryptocurrency ATMs in targeted districts. The ordinance would add definitions for cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency ATMs and permits machines as an accessory use in these districts. It would require each operator to register machines with the city and provide operator name and precise machine locations. Machines must display clear, readable warnings and transaction disclosures, including fees, irreversibility of transfers, and a consumer fraud warning with a customer service helpline number. Why these measures are appropriate is that the proposed ordinance does not ban cryptocurrency ATMs outright, creates a framework for traceability, timely enforcement, and point-of-sale consumer education. Registration gives our public safety staff the contact and location data needed to investigate scams quickly. Post-it warnings and receipt requirements provide immediate consumer notice, limits, live confirmation requirements make fraud harder to execute at the kiosks. These are proportionate, narrowly tailored tools to protect residents while preserving legitimate commerce. The memo reviews municipal approaches ranging from mandated warnings like in Omaha, Nebraska, to outright bans such as in Spokane, Washington. The draft before you follows a middle path consistent with other communities such as Grosse Pointe Park that have found registration and disclosures as effective at reducing harm while allowing legitimate operators to remain. Eric and I both have recently had experiences with these machines. I was in Lansing for a meeting last week, and on my way out of town, I stopped at a gas station to grab a drink, and there was a cryptocurrency ATM there, and it had 2 stickers informing the user of potential fraud from those machines. And Eric, you had experience as well?
Yeah, we were driving back from northern Michigan last week, and kids had to use the bathroom. So in Tawas City, we went to the gas station, and as I was waiting, there was both an ATM and a crypto ATM right next to it. And so it caught my attention. That's the photo that's in the memo, that the warning signs were posted digitally. So it wasn't the actual printout that was posted either on the wall or adjacent to the machine. So I thought that was an interesting way of issuing those types of warning signs. So that's something that we can discuss this evening on whether or not you want to use both or just have one or the other. But the example in the memo is from the machine that I encountered over the past week. So.
Because this is clearly was a discussion at the last meeting, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be there. I understand the whole concept of this. I know it's inescapable, but I guess I'm still questioning, are we, because we're going, as you said, taking a middle ground approach, do we have solid reasons for taking a straight up a ban? I mean, has there been some litigation in Washington already against their ban, or are we anticipating litigation against their ban? Because we have machines not too far, I mean, literally across the street. Is there a reason? And there was the ban just didn't.
I do not see the current administration in Washington putting a ban on crypto ATMs.
No, not the federal administration. I mean Spokane.
No, but you made a statement about if there's going to be anything coming from higher level.
No, I meant basically.
You were talking about from Spokane?
Because since Spokane has voted, literally, this is a true ban.
Mhm.
This is one of the few times I've actually seen, and all of the time I've been on the commission, community actually banned something. Because most communities don't ban anything out of fear they're gonna get sued, by prohibiting the possibility of a legitimate. So has there been any litigation or any discussion of litigation, or has this ban actually been holding up pretty good? And if it has, is there any reason we couldn't just, was any reason in the discussion process?
With
of
my
not
research, I
banning?
didn't see any litigation in Spokane regarding the ban of cryptocurrency ATMs.
Yeah, that was in June, so it was
Yeah,
pretty
it was
recent.
really
Oh,
recent.
it's new.
Yeah.
Right.
So this
Okay.
is, and with them being so close, these machines, like you said, only being on the other side of Lincoln, residents could seek it out. And it is something that if we're gonna have residents who are going to be using these type of ATMs, and we would prefer that they use them here where we can regulate them and provide them at least with some type of fraud prevention, or at least give our police department some type of information to go off of to begin an investigation. But with them not currently existing in the city, this would allow us to get in front of it, which would require anybody who installs them in their business exclusively in the vehicular and mixed-use districts, because our research have found that they're primarily in gas stations and convenience stores, and those businesses primarily populate those districts in the city. This would allow them to be used, not put a block on them. We also, from my research, shown that the way we're going is that traditional ATMs, crypto ATMs will become one. So it would allow us to get in front of this problem, help residents be aware that there is a potential for fraud, and at least stop them in their tracks to at least think before they actually proceed. There are some really horrific stories of people being called, especially elderly residents, who are being told that somebody's imitating their grandchild and that they're in need, and they prey upon their fear. So I don't think there's any way of stopping these ATMs from occurring. There is the potential for banning it, but I think it would be more prudent to put some type of warning and some type of, almost like a wake-up call to someone before they actually insert cash, to that this could be a fraud. There could be fraudulent action that is bringing you to that machine, and once that money is in, it is very, if not impossible, to get it back.
If we do nothing, we have currently no regulation.
No.
So anybody could technically put a machine in with no warnings or anything.
In any district.
No,
Yes.
no, I'm not,
No,
I'm just
in
trying to
any
make
district,
sure.
like this is.
Period. We have nothing.
No, there's nothing banning them or restricting them or regulating them at this
Gotcha.
time.
So this is at least giving us the ability to regulate them within the city before it actually shows up.
Yes. Scott, have you seen anything with crypto ATM when it comes to potential legislation coming from the state?
I haven't seen anything, and just to kind of address, I mean, your point that these are inevitable, I think is
They are.
very forward-thinking. So I would not recommend an outright ban on these. Again, Austin's example, I mean, the first point of contact for targeting victims is use of the cell phone. So you have to have some sort of rational justification for the ban of a particular thing, to support the public health, safety, or general welfare. So you could make the same argument that we could ban cell phones because a lot of criminals use cell phones as their initial point of contact. Obviously, that's not something we're interested in doing, and I think wouldn't survive a legal challenge if there was one. The Spokane ordinance is relatively new. It's only a couple months old. I don't know if there have been, if there are any in the works, any challenge. I haven't followed it that closely. Again, so this, to Austin's point, I mean, simply knowing that the city knowing where these are, having the police department aware that they exist in our city by requiring registration, requiring consumer notices about the potential dangers of these devices. In my mind, that is a great first step for the city, being proactive to something something new that potentially could be ubiquitous, could be everywhere. I mean, ATMs are pretty much everywhere now, but as people shift from cash to digital currencies, again, I think these things are going to be inevitable, and you're probably going to see them in more and more locations. So, again, giving the city the opportunity to register, regulate, know where these are, and provide a little bit of education. Obviously, if someone's convinced that their grandchild or child is in danger, they're probably going to go ahead and push the buttons without reading the notifications anyways. And this ordinance really won't prevent a lot of that crime, but it's a good first step. And like I said, I think it's important so that the city's aware how many and where they're located within the city. And I think that fits with the justification for protecting the public health, safety, and general welfare.
Before you say it, just, I looked it up. They banned it after 141 million in losses in their city.
Oh, okay.
That's why they banned it. Okay, so at least I understand why.
Yes.
I'm sorry, just so you knew.
Just a note, the picture that you included in the packet of the crypto machine, and it says tap to start here, and it also gives the blurb about the losses due to fraudulent, or accidental transactions. I'm wondering if there wouldn't be an opportunity, because that language can clearly be programmed. So can you put a big stop sign on it and say, did you receive a phone call from someone saying that your family member was in trouble? Or did you experience any one of these scenarios? If so, call this number, call the police, or as opposed to just, you can lose your money if you put your money in this machine.
The one that Eric saw that's in the report is relatively new. This is a relatively new version of a crypto ATM. They've been around for more than a decade, and the ones I've seen are older. And I don't know if they have the ability to be programmed to have a warning like that on them. So my concern is that, like Eric had asked, is it something that we want to require on the screen, or something that we require actually physically on the front of the ATM?
Yeah.
So I think it would be ideal for both, if possible.
Yeah.
That way, if you can't get like the stop sign logo on the digital screen, for example, and that's what you want in terms of the way that you want to make this notification, then you would have the ability to do that with a printout, working with public safety and the police department, and what best to put on the sign per your preference if it's not capable of doing that digitally.
First, I'm sorry.
He was waiting.
Oh, please.
It seems to me that the very presence of these machines in our community would tend to normalize their use. I think that's a valid objection. It may not overrule other arguments for their use, but I think that is a possibility. Secondly, if we're concerned about educating our citizens, there are other ways of doing that, and even promoting or adopting a ban would certainly be educational for many people. Thirdly, if you want warning signs on the machine on the other side of our boundaries, what about a little diplomacy with the city of Southfield, asking them to put these warnings up as a way of combating the incursion or the invasion of such practices in our community?
And that seems to be the track that most communities are going, is to have some type of warning of fraud on the machines.
Okay, so if we have a ban and Southfield also has the warnings, then it seems to me the goals of legislation would be met.
I see it being a little restrictive with growth, to be honest. I think there are a lot of people who currently see no value in cryptocurrency, but younger generations see a great deal of value in it. They see the stock market as out of reach from them from affordability, and they see cryptocurrency as an investment they can actually obtain. So I think as time goes on, the adoption of crypto is only going to become more popular. And as younger residents move in, they're going to want the ability to use these type of machines. So if we're going to have residents using them, I think it'd be best to do as much as we can to help them, rather than going to other municipalities where we don't know exactly what their ordinances are when it comes to these type of
Well, on the
ATMs.
issue of deer, we do work with other communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why not on this issue?
I think we absolutely could do that.
But you don't think we should only do that and also ban cryptocurrency ATMs?
Like Scott said, I think right now these are still so new, and ordinances government units are starting to catch up to regulating these machines, that we don't know what long-term could happen with any type of lawsuit. I think a good start would be to require this type of warning on the machines, because if individuals are going to seek them out, they're going to try to find them. And I think they should be within the community where we have as much information we can provide to our law enforcement to help our residents.
I think one risk of enacting an ordinance banning cryptocurrency ATMs is that if that ban happens to be challenged in court, that will cost the city money in defending a lawsuit that we probably will not have budgeted for. Because
Especially since we would likely be the first community in the state to outright ban these types of instruments. So not always a good thing to be the first when it comes to implementing a ban on something.
A few things. First, Chairperson Stansberry, thank you for pointing out that at present there is nothing in the way of regulating or banning these types of machines from existing in the city of Lathrup Village. I think that's very important for us to keep at the back of our minds as we're continuing this discussion, because the suggestion that we are somehow encouraging crypto ATM machines in the city is, in my opinion, misleading. Of course, all of this is a conversation about some degree of regulation or another. It's also my understanding that of the 1,700 or so municipalities in the state of Michigan, there is exactly one, Grosse Pointe Farms, I believe, that has anything such as this on the books, which leads me to think there's about 1,700 and change others that aren't having these proactive conversations like we are. So I appreciate this planning commission for being in the first two, perhaps, of municipalities even taking this on. An important distinction I want to make about the Spokane, Washington example is it was not a planning commission that banned cryptocurrency ATMs in that city, it was the council itself. So my first question is, if something like a ban were to occur in Lathrup Village, is that a ban that this commission would impose, or is that something our council would impose?
It would originate.
Well, no, it would likely, my recommendation, if you were to ban something, would be to put that in the general ordinance, the general police power ordinance, again, because the key difference is that a general ordinance enacted under the Home Rule City authority of the Home Rule City Act is not, there's no grandfathering in with a police power general ordinance, whereas with a zoning ordinance, any existing use or existing crypto ATMs that could or wouldn't be within the city would be able to claim a legal non-conforming status. So my recommendation would be to put it in the general ordinance if that was the direction that the city decided to go.
And to put it in the general ordinance would be an act of council, right? Not
Correct.
this commission?
Correct.
Okay, so this commission can essentially use the zoning ordinance to limit, restrict, dictate where these machines might be, but for the purposes of an outright ban, this is probably not the place where that
Correct,
conversation
yeah,
should be occurring.
an outright, I mean, this would, and again, not that I would recommend that a ban be put into the zoning ordinance. And currently, our zoning ordinance doesn't ban anything. The bans on specific types of businesses are located in the general ordinance. The only one that comes to mind is cannabis business, and that is obviously based upon the vote of the citizens of the community. So I would strongly encourage against putting an outright ban in the zoning ordinance. Zoning ordinances generally regulate property rights, property use abilities. This, by putting reasonable restrictions on registration requirements, notice requirements to end users, those would all be considered reasonable property use type restrictions that would be appropriate in the zoning ordinance. But you're absolutely correct. If the direction or the intent was to outright ban these, then my recommendation would be that be an action of city council.
Sure. I apologize, I don't remember the municipalities the two of you visited where you observed things like the photographs we're looking at in our documents here. Do we know why these machines in these cities include these warnings absent of things like the ordinances passed by the city of Grosse Pointe Farms? Is this out of the goodness of these ATM machine owners' hearts, or why is this warning language here if Grosse Pointe Farms is the only community that has enacted something? Do we know?
Well, another step that Grosse Pointe Farms did was require registration of it. So it was a part of the ordinance was to have the signage as well as registration with the city. And I think I'm gonna go on a little bit of a limb here, but I think that the operators of the machines were trying to do their best to get in front of any type of litigation that may come their way, and to put so that is why these warnings are on there.
Also, the machines in the state of Michigan are operated by a company called CoinFlip, and they said they welcome oversight. So part of this, I think, is part of their public face to do the right thing, so that they can continue to keep putting machines in the state of Michigan, because they've been in Michigan since 2019 putting these machines in the state. So as long as they can keep putting machines in without anybody saying anything, and they give you a nice little warning sign, everybody's relatively happy. But at the end of the day, there's still no regulation. The state has yet to actually have any formal regulation, so it's still down to the individual communities. So what the company is doing is basically going in, put a machine, put a warning, you're happy, you don't question. And I'm sure in Tawas, they're not questioning it. They're not, but so big. I can only imagine if I'm the company, I'm gonna do everything I can so that you don't wanna start regulating me. And what we're trying to do, or what we're discussing to do, is to put regulation in place in front of the machine showing up, basically, that forces them to do these things, as opposed to doing what they think will just get them by. Is that fair?
I agree with that
And
statement.
because they have a whole article about the company, and that they're very welcoming of oversight, and.
Sure.
I completely agree that they want oversight. So that's why they have these nice machines with all these warnings on them.
Yeah.
But we don't want you to actually vote in oversight, we just want you to agree.
Sure. So maybe not out of the goodness of their own hearts, but maybe for the covering of their own other body parts. Got it.
And
Okay.
Tawas, isn't that like East Lansing, right outside the college?
No, that's,
Area?
Tawas is like up Lake Huron, going north.
Oh, okay, I'm going
north
the
of
wrong
Bay
way.
City, yeah, so north,
Okay.
northeast.
But the one I saw was within a couple miles of Michigan State University. It was in Lansing.
Yeah.
I may have missed it, but in the proposed ordinance language, is there anything to restrict the number of cryptocurrency ATM machines, the distance between them, et cetera?
No, not in this proposed language. What we were instructed was to mirror that of Grosse Pointe Farms, the ordinance that was passed there. So what you see essentially in the proposed language consists of that, of the Grosse Pointe example.
Sure.
So we did not take into consideration limitations based on spatial limitations.
Is that worthwhile discussing? Otherwise, it sounds like we'll have a registry, but we could perhaps have a dozen of these machines lined up along Southfield Road. And to some of the points made earlier about concerns about the demands on law enforcement, et cetera, it may behoove us to enact something that puts gaps in between them, thereby limiting the number of them that could possibly exist.
We could utilize the same wording from, what's it called?
Grosse Pointe.
Small box, big box.
Oh,
sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, discounts.
I don't want to just say dollar
Small
store.
box
I'm trying to
retail
use-
business.
Oh, you could use the same kind of wording, because that was very limiting in where they could be and the number that they could be. between that and the check cashing, I can't think what we were actually calling them. They were-
Yeah.
the-
Money services.
Money
Money
services.
services, the real official wording, but those, both of those ordinances have in there limitations and restrictions that aren't limiting and restricting that you can be here, but they're very limiting and restricting where you have to be and how far away you have to be from someone else.
I think that's a good way of looking at it. The way that I established the draft was to include the two districts, the mixed use and the commercial vehicular, with the thought that, well, maybe the planning commission would only be open to one, similar to how we narrowed it down with the other two amendments. So I think first and foremost, it would be most beneficial to determine if the two districts in this case are acceptable as the districts where we would allow the ATM machines, or if you would just restrict it to one. And then by making that determination, we can then look into any spatial distance requirements that we might want to impose on that.
I'll speak quickly and definitively. I would prefer to limit it to one. If
Okay.
we were to limit it to anything.
That's helpful.
And preferably the vehicular commercial district.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, I said I would speak quickly and definitively, which was I would recommend limiting them to a single zoning district, the commercial vehicular district, if we were to pursue this at all.
Do we have any points of, what are the points of access to attaining advice for us as a body from the law enforcement systems in this state on this matter?
We could just make a request to
I
ask.
mean, Michigan State Police, prosecution.
I think we would probably go through our own police department first, right? And ask
I
them
would think
to-
so. But
I would think that, if we were to consider any edits to the current language that's proposed, that we could forward the draft to public safety, the police department for review and comment, so that if there is any input from the police, that we could then have that conversation at the next meeting.
how about the state attorney general?
The State Attorney General's office did issue a press release earlier this year, again, just basically cautioning consumers. It was a consumer alert warning, residents of scams using Bitcoin ATMs to defraud unsuspecting victims. That's the extent of the State Attorney General's.
So that's advice to the general community, but
Correct.
not to,
So law enforcement, our police department normally gets updates from MSP on trends in crime trends and other issues that they need to focus their attention on. So absolutely, I think presenting this to Lieutenant Zhang, he would probably very willingly share if any bulletins that they had received from MSP regarding cryptocurrency ATMs. But again, to Austin's point, once you put that money into the ATM, there's very little, if anything, that law enforcement can do to trace where that money has gone, get that money back. So there's probably, there may be something similar to just a kind of a consumer alert type of a bulletin, but I doubt that there's any specifics with respect to, trying to identify suspects or pursue criminal charges against an individual.
well, I would like to get their opinion on this proposed legislation.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely something that we could.
We can absolutely work with our police department and Lieutenant Zhang to get their opinion and see what they would agree with or what they would also like to see added to the language.
But I support what Tim was saying about restricting the deployment of the availability of these types of machines, if they're gonna be allowed at all, to the commercial vehicular district. I'm kind of leaning towards passing some ordinance tonight in order to try and have some control in place while we continue to research this and work with the police to refine it. I think that it would also, if this commission thinks it would be worth the city council looking at banning these machines in the city altogether, then we can ask Austin to ask the city administrator to put it on an agenda for the city council to consider at the next study session.
And this was discussed last night at the study session.
It was discussed,
But not a ban.
but not as a ban.
But not a ban. Yep.
Is there, although we've had a public hearing, is there any reason that we are rushing to do this in general, I guess is the best way to say it?
It was recommended and asked by council for city staff to look into it and take any type of recommendations to the planning commission.
Well, and we did hear from Lieutenant Zhang last night during the council meeting that fraud is like a huge issue in this city. That we are actually talking about, you remember the Operation Watch Lathrop public safety program from 15 years ago or so?
Yes, I do.
Right, so that was triggered by an uptick in home invasions that were happening at that time, right? So they wanted to educate the public around home invasions. Well, people calling the police department to ask for help around preventing home invasions or responding to home invasions has dropped off precipitously. They just really don't happen around here anymore because it's more lucrative to commit fraud. And so there's a huge uptick in the police getting reports and requests for help with fraud. So we were talking about instituting Operation Watch Lathrop as a mechanism to educate the community about fraudulent activities and how to avoid them. So it's just this is tertiary to that, it's connected to that. That if we put some controls in place about where these things are deployed, that they're registered, and how what signage is used to try and reduce the possibility of fraud occurring, that will help the police in responding to that uptick in reports of fraud.
And those who do commit fraud are becoming more evasive and also more finding more unique ways to commit fraud.
Sophisticated.
And remote.
That's a great way to describe it. They're becoming more
Fraud has gotten quite
sophisticated.
sophisticated.
And last night during the conversation, an individual who was involved in it stated that they received a party invitation from a well-known resident, and it turned out to be a phishing link. That it was a bogus invitation, and their credit card information got stolen. So there are ways that people who commit fraud can find different avenues to get to people and to separate them from their money.
I agree that it's just prolific. I get phone invitations to apply for jobs. So one of, a friend of somebody that I work with thought he had a job, and they were celebrating it, and it turned out to be a scam. And I'm sure in the process they got access to his financial information. I had a reason to look into something with Amazon yesterday, and one of the options I was given was amzn.com, but the typography was all Amazon's. It's just every day you're just deluged with this. So I agree that we have a huge issue here, and it extends beyond this particular equipment. But whatever way is the best way of getting input on everything that we can do as quickly as possible, be supportive of, and if that is putting out there a draft of a zoning ordinance, and if that will help us get more input, I'd be for it, but not without going through that process of contacting the county prosecutor, her office, of course starting with our own police, the sheriff of the county, and Michigan State Police and the Attorney General's office. They all be requested for input on this.
So I think the action on the table would be to set a public hearing for a ordinance adjustment to address cryptocurrency ATMs. I think if we do that, that will provide the incentive to move on this quickly, to get the information that we need in order to have a draft ordinance that would be appropriate to put in front of the public for a public hearing
Yeah,
as quickly as possible.
I would just to echo that statement, I mean, I think it's important to have draft language ready for the public to view and consider prior to scheduling a public hearing, or at least have it so that it can be done simultaneously, so that when the notice goes out, should someone want to know exactly what,
They can-
because the notice is limited in what it details, that way they can come to the city and say, hey, I see you're considering a cryptocurrency ordinance, can I have a copy of it? And that way, it's not, they're getting all the information that you guys have considered, and that they're prepared when they come to speak at a public hearing, so.
In, I'm sorry, in the interim, can we put in place or just put the boundaries in place and vote on, we want it limited to the
Commercial, vehicular,
yeah.
and mixed-use districts.
Correct.
Yeah,
Goes
so
into the draft, yeah.
yeah, we direct Giffords Webster to add that to the draft version of the ordinance language.
I understand, I agree, that's the best way I should say first. I think we should modify the draft,
Okay.
but I don't think we should set the public hearing until we've done what's been requested. Send a draft with a copy to the following law enforcement agencies that have been asked.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't respond, they don't respond, but it's not that we didn't ask. And you told me in the beginning we weren't rushing. So if the public hearing for this doesn't take place until November, at least we have drafted it, we've requested the input, so when you hold a public hearing, you'll be able to say, here's the draft of the language, we requested input from A, B, C, D, E. This is what we've collected, it's all in the draft, this is why we're doing it. It's a nice package. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not against putting it out now, but I agree that it would be better to just ask. And I'd rather ask and not get a response than not ask and then find out that you get a response from everybody and they say, well, you need to tweak this or tweak that, and then we would be rushing just for the sake of.
And as of right now, there are no machines in the city.
Right.
So we do have that time, at least some time.
I mean, but you're not saying you're gonna push it out to
No,
January
no,
next year.
but we have time to speak with these different.
Just a request of information.
Yeah, these different police agencies and also Attorney General's office to see what input they would have. And also maybe they've spoken with other municipalities who are also kicking around proposed language and see what they have.
And it'll also give everybody the opportunity, give Giffords the opportunity to tighten up the location, all of the things we've already asked for. And that way, you'll get more information that way.
The proposed language does state that it would be restricted to those two districts.
You're making that change, right?
It's already in there. Is there another?
No, the change is to remove the mixed-use district.
Oh, okay, so just
To
for
limit it to
vehicular?
just the
Gotcha.
commercial
Right,
vehicular.
Okay.
But then if you want additional restrictions based on distance within those districts, then that's something that we would come back to you with, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. I guess one distinction between a cryptocurrency ATM machine and a dollar store or a check cashing business is that there isn't good record of where ATM machines outside of the city of Lathrup Village exist, right? And so, whereas we know where the closest dollar store is, where the next closest check cashing business is, we're really just using the power of Google and driving around to know where the nearest cryptocurrency ATM
Which
machines
can change
are,
the
right?
next day after. you
Sure.
do it.
And that's a really good point, I think. So I don't know if it would be worthwhile to draft the language to say that within the districts, within the city limits, or within the district of the commercial vehicular, that we know that based on our draft ordinance that these ATMs are going to be required to be registered. So I don't know if maybe we would want to look at a separation between registered units within the city and not necessarily look beyond the city limits.
The ordinance, the draft ordinance language does indicate that these would be accessory uses to another business, right? It's not the primary use. So there's already gonna have to be some registered business existing in the commercial vehicular districts, the district, with the
Yeah.
two parts of it, at 12 in Southfield and at 696 in Southfield. Some existing business is already there that wants to put, so it's kind of already limited pretty well.
Yeah.
But it does not prevent every business in that district to put the machine in without what you just said.
Right,
That's right.
yeah.
So everybody on the four corners of Southfield 12 Mile, and
Sure,
everybody
they
on the
can have
four
one.
corners of 696 in
Sure.
Southfield could have a crypto machine unless you put something in it. So
Right.
yes, you are correct.
I would prefer for there to be something in it about distance.
Absolutely.
So like you said, you'll have to propose something.
Yeah, we'll
So,
look
like
at
you
it.
said, distance between registered machines.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if, you know,
No more than 2 registered machines within a 1-mile radius.
sure.
Oh, wonderful.
No, you're already in the one.
I know, but that's what I'm saying, 1 at 11 mile, 1 at 12 mile. If there's gonna be 2 in then there's
Yeah,
your
no,
distance
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's it.
But
Yeah, we'll look at it and do an analysis and come back with the proposed language, and if you want to tweak it at the next meeting, we can consider doing that too.
Okay. Can we at the same time be submitting what we have now out for comment to these agencies that have been mentioned?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. We can send it out and get in
If
communication with
Time
them.
is of the essence. We can be further researching and wordsmithing our own work while getting comment to what we've already come up with. And that's the way I would do it.
Okay.
And Jason, if you'd like to really force his hand, you could say, set your public hearing in, say, October, November. That way you have a time frame that you're working under. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I just want to say from the business license side, that we sometimes get pushed back downstairs from licenses, people that don't have licenses, and why do I need it, and I don't have to, and they are operating in the city. And some of the buildings that we have issues getting into, and just smug and arrogant, I was told I didn't have to. So, and we get people that buy signs without asking for a sign permit, and then find out they can't have it. What if a couple of people are already ordering these units, and now we just find out, stumble across, and Steve's, travels, or Thomas, or Austin's, or mine, oh my gosh, there's a big machine here, right? So you mentioned from one registered machine to another. What about if it's not a registered machine, and will there be something in there? Just wondering.
So if there's an existing machine and the regulation is in the zoning ordinance, like I said earlier, it would be, they would be essentially grandfathered in. They'd be a legal non-conforming use. So they would, just as the case is with the 2 money service businesses that are currently in the city, they're grandfathered in, and until such time that they either close business or something else takes their place, you're kind of stuck with them.
No, I guess I was saying if they don't pay attention to our ordinances, which a lot of people don't, sorry to say, and they just, we pass this, it goes through, this is on the books now, and somebody pops up with a machine.
Oh, if they didn't get a license, then they get a ticket.
So that'll be in there.
Yeah, that's already in there. It's a municipal
Right.
civil infraction.
Just
if
was
they-
wondering.
Yeah, the registration, right.
Question about the powers of council. On related topics, council has imposed moratoriums on things. Is it within the bounds of council perhaps at their next meeting that they could impose a moratorium on the installation of a cryptocurrency ATM?
That's something
Does that
that
even make sense?
I mean, that's something I'm gonna have to do some research on, not only for potential for a moratorium, but also for the distance limitations, because there's a differentiation between the money service business and the small box retail discount stores. Those are businesses that are taking up, these aren't businesses, these are accessory uses to an existing business. So that's something I'm gonna have to look to see if there's a precedent to do that, and if it's supported and justifiable, so.
I have one.
I don't have the answer to that.
Thank you. I think I have one final comment on the matter. I do think I would recommend to council a consideration of a ban. That's not me indicating my advocacy for or against a ban, but how else do we bring this to council's attention formally other than to recommend it? And considering that council is the body that could enact such a ban, I think it would be prudent, responsible for us to at least recommend it for consideration.
Just to clarify, the issue of cryptocurrency ATMs is on the radar of the council,
Okay.
but the question of whether to consider a ban as part of the municipal ordinances is not. So
Okay.
that would be the request, is to kind of, to direct them to please consider looking into a possibility of adjusting the municipal ordinances to ban.
Sure.
Scott?
My point is that when we deal with some of these complex issues, there's two ways of approaching it. One is just one step after another, after another, after another. But things are moving in the environment at the same time we're doing that. And I suggest a more complex way of handling this is to move forward on multiple levels at the same time, knowing that the input from all of these will come to a point of resolution. I am concerned with getting anything out that encourages a rush to get machines in place and then be grandfathered in. So I think before we have, I'm concerned that we start everything in motion now that will get us the input we need for a final decision. And so one of those may be to put something before council in terms of ban, considering that, and with due attention to the objection to that has already been raised. But also simultaneously soliciting access without going through the public media to all of the other governmental resources we can to get advice as a simultaneous action and simultaneous information gathering action. I used to have to process contracts through the city of Detroit. And I had to process $20 million worth of contracts a year within certain deadlines. You couldn't just take it around and get signatures. You had to set everything possible in motion at the same time in order to bring things together in a timely way.
So that kind of goes to what Chair Stansberry was suggesting, that I suggested to make a motion to set a date for a public hearing on this matter, to kind of put a stake in the ground, like we're going to have to make progress on this specific ordinance, the draft of the ordinance, by that time period.
I would hesitate to put a public notice out when we're still gathering information, but I think we should act as though there is a public hearing coming up very soon and do everything possible before the information becomes public. Because once it becomes public not only to our residents, but to everybody who wants to get in the ground floor before it becomes a law.
Well, it's already public, so it was published,
It was already
this
noticed.
meeting, there was a public hearing published for this meeting, it's on the agenda, this meeting is a public meeting, so the cat's out of the bag, so to speak.
But I think we're all saying roughly the same thing. Jason wants to set a deadline that can still be changed if we're not quite have our information. We can still submit the information out for requests from the various bodies.
Yep.
We can ask Austin to present it to council relative to a ban so they can have it in a study session.
Can do that.
Scott's still gonna do his review to find out if we can actually have a limitation in the number within the space. So we are doing a bunch of things all at the same time. We're just trying to make sure there's something that keeps the process moving. And I think what Jason is suggesting is, by saying we want to be done in November, it's forcing everybody to keep moving.
Okay.
Now, if you're not done in October, it's going to be pretty clear you're going to have to change that date.
Yeah.
But at least you know that you are moving or running to that date.
Yes.
Is that a summary of what we're all saying?
You
Yes.
nailed it, from my
Okay.
perspective.
I,
So-
I just have one question for Scott. Scott, let's say that we get to our hearing either in October or in November, we do pass a ordinance that requires registration, requires signage in the zoning ordinance, but then down the road, council passes and adds it to our public safety ordinance, a ban. What would happen to those ATMs that are already existing?
So you would, again, it would be, under the general ordinance power, if it was justifiable, an outright ban of these. I'm not suggesting that it is or it isn't, because I don't know at this point. But if that were the case, and that was it was appropriate and that was the action that council took, and because that prohibition on these types of accessory uses is in the general ordinance, then there'd be no legal non-conforming status.
Mhm.
So at that point, those would have to, you put a sunset provision or an amortization provision within that ordinance to when they have to be. We just did it last night with the signed ordinance, so when they would have to come into compliance with that, and then obviously you would likely repeal the provisions of the zoning ordinance that.
Because they'd be moot.
Well, yeah, they'd be moot, they would potentially cause ambiguity or conflict with, it says you can have them here, but it says you can't have them here, so that would all happen if we cross that bridge.
All right, thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion to set a public hearing date for the cryptocurrency ATM ordinances for November 18th, 2025.
I'll second.
Whoops. Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, it's been moved and second.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, before we move on to item 8, I would ask just for the clerk's sake, because we did interject and add the amendment to the solar ordinance public hearing, it wasn't an item on the
It
agenda.
was not an item.
So if we could amend the agenda to create an item so she can put it into the minutes for this meeting.
So I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
Add it to, let's make it 9. And that way you don't have to
It
change.
has to be under the new business, right?
It really probably should have been under old business, but
Okay.
you could put it anywhere on the agenda. I just want it somewhere on the agenda so that we can reference that the motion that was made and was taken was done.
Okay, yeah, so I'll make a motion to amend the agenda for the August 19th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting to add item 7D for setting a public hearing for solar energy systems ordinance.
7D.
I made it 7D.
7D. I just want to make sure 7D.
D as in David.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. I know that's right. I like that.
All right, it's been moved to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries.
Now we have our site development update. So we'll start off with building located at 27300 Southfield Road, which is just to the south of City Hall. Planning Commission reviewed and issued a zoning interpretation confirming that a laundromat is a permitted use, allowing the project to proceed. Following this decision, the site plan was formally approved on February 20th, 2024. The approved site plan also permits retail and personal care uses in the remaining units. An accounting firm which previously occupied the northern unit will return to its original location. A nail salon and smoke shop have completed installation of their signage and are finalizing interior build-out. Outstanding items include the property owner's requirement to construct a barrier wall along the rear of the parcel to separate from the adjacent residential district and to obtain a temporary encroachment license from City Council for additional parking spaces installed behind the building. This is where the two-way parking or alleyway behind became a one-way following site plan approval. 26600 Southfield Road. The revised site plan was approved by Planning Commission on January 20th, 2021. Interior build-out has been completed. The Zoning Board of Appeals granted a variance request for
size of principal wall signage on August 18th, 2025. This property owner is going to be, they have an existing non-conforming monument sign in the front of the lot along Southfield Road that encroaches into the setback. The applicant stated that they would like to go back to the ZBA next month to see if they can get a variance to keep the same encroachment into the front setback, but center it into a peninsula that is in the parking lot. This is because they are finishing the flooring, and also they want to repave the parking lot, and they want to get the approval to move the monument sign so they can get the electrical run to it before they start breaking up and then repaving. So that is something that the applicant verbally stated, but nothing has been received yet. 27700 Southfield Road, to the lot to the north of us, which is in Lathrop High School. The applicant received site plan approval for the historic preservation and adaptive reuse of Lathrop Village former high school, proposing its transformation into a multifamily housing, co-working space, and activity event space. The project received approval from the Lathrop Village Historic District Commission on February 19th, 2025. Site plan was approved during a public hearing held on April 15th, 2025, at which the applicant presented the site plan to the Planning Commission for review and approval. City Council will hold a public hearing to consider a workforce housing payment in lieu of taxes, also known as a pilot, request during their meeting on September 15th, 2025 at 7 p.m. here in City Council chambers. 2, property to the north of us on the west side of Southfield Road, 28317 Southfield Road. The site plan for a golf simulator business was approved by the Planning Commission on December 17th, 2024. No interior construction was required. The business is currently in the process of installing golf simulator equipment in preparation of their grand opening. Permanent wall signage was installed in June of 2025. This individual is close to getting the building ready for opening. They are going to do a preview to the community during the Lathrop Village Music Festival on September 13th. They've rented 2 of our booths for vendors, and they're going to do a little putt-putt, which will allow someone to go through a little course that they're going to be setting up. If you get the ball, get the golf ball in the hole, you will get time in one of the golf simulators. If you don't, you get to keep the ball, and it says Mara Greens on it, which is our new golf simulator business here in Lathrop Village in our DDA district. 26710 Southfield Road. The applicant requested approval for a change of use for a commercial unit located in the mixed-use district, converting the existing personal services use to retail. The approved use is for a pre-made meal business which prepares meals off-site in a commercial kitchen and sells them at the retail location. Planning Commission approved the application at its May 20th, 25 meeting, and a permanent wall sign was installed in June of 2025. And when it relates to the site development update, that's all I have for you tonight, Chair. But you have something?
Quick note on Mara Greens, they actually are in a soft open.
Are they
So,
right now
yeah.
operating?
So they actually have operating hours. It's limited, but they do have operating hours. They have a website where you can book time online. It's essentially either pay, it's a subscription, either single day use for a single bay, or you can have a certain number of visits over the course of a month. So they have lots of options available, but it is operating.
Mm-hmm. And the equipment they have is state-of-the-art. I was lucky enough to try it out, and I highly recommend anyone who is serious about golf to head on over there and try it out. And on that note, Les, we know that you are a fan of golfing. So Tom, who has been learning with his 3D printer how to make different items, we have a couple things to give to you.
What?
You thought you'd be getting out of this without...
I thought you had a presentation.
You can go over the solar ordinance if you want.
Today? Come on. I do have a bit of a presentation.
I
I'm not
see.
going to let you get out of this without having something from us. A little gift from the staff, if you will. I have been making some things for my father and my brother with their golfing adventures this summer, and I can attest to at least some of these. They have worked. Most of these have. Do know, I'm a complete hack. I don't know what I'm doing. But it is working.
Disclosure.
Just like your golf.
Exactly.
So
I'm not a complete hack.
No, not here.
Not complete.
So for starters, I made you 10 of these clips. They're for your golf bag, and what they're going to do, you're going to put your golf clubs to them, so that way they're not rattling around, breaking each other, and you're not frustrated trying to take them out. We've all been there, I believe. Believe me.
We have been there.
This one I actually really like. I made you 2 of these. They're golf tee lengths. So what you're going to do, you're going to clip your tee into, I think it's about 7 centimeters. You got 7 centimeters here. You will clip to the length that you want, stick it into the ground, pop it out, and there's your tee length.
Wow.
Gives you a uniform length every time.
Never had that before.
Well, you do now, and you got 2 of them now.
What is that?
For your golf balls. This way you're not having to go into your golf bag whenever you shank one. Not that that would ever happen.
Just in case you need another one.
Just in case you need another one,
That's a good
it's
one.
right there hanging on your bag. And the holes here are also for your tees when you inevitably break one
Oh,
on the
yeah.
shot. Yeah, that happens. That one, we admit
Yeah,
to.
that happens.
This one's my absolute favorite.
Ooh, I like the color.
It's for your, it will clip onto your golf bag. It's for your phone, in case you don't want it rumbling in your pocket, or for your drinks. For those days where you're not with a golf cart and don't have anywhere to put it, now you do.
Look at that.
And I do have one more that I will need to see you on because
Uh-oh.
I was not able to.
It's a little bit of a gag gift, so.
It's a bit of a gag gift, yeah. So I
In
will
other
need
words,
to-
you don't want it on video. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you. And I'll stop harassing you about those trees now. Well, that was very nice. I'm speechless.
Well, thank you, Les.
Like I am about my golf game.
I've had some fantastic conversations with you, and I've learned a lot from you, so thank you.
And I appreciate it. I'm glad that we had the time to kind of work together. I know it was a transition for you, from the person who left. And no offense, just so you know, I did reach out to Susie and let her know that I appreciated all that she had done as well, because she talked me into this.
Okay.
That's the best way to put it. Susie, she kind of talked me into it, and it worked out. And then when she departed, you came, and we had to get acclimated and make sure that we were all still working in the same. But it's been an experience that I treasure. So I'm looking forward to actually eating dinner before 9 o'clock on Tuesdays now. But I wish anyone that's interested in being on the commission, it is quite fulfilling, and I think it's a great public service. I've talked to some people, tried to convince them that they might want to do it, but you can only ask. But I think you got some great people in the city, and a lot of people are talking, even though we might not talk about what the residents say to us directly. But a lot of people around that I've talked to, that they're glad to see things are changing. They're glad to see things are improving. Everyone's trying to figure out what the red building is. But it looks really nice. So I think as progress continues along Southfield Road, everybody is going to see that we are continuing to move forward. And I was surprised about one thing. I remember the presentation from Sarno, and they talked about how the housing, the need for housing, and the very affordability of the new units. But I have sat in the past 2 months and watched 3 houses around us go up for sale, and just like they said, they rarely made it a week.
Yeah.
So obviously there are people who want to be here. And everyone that has moved in, and I feel bad because everyone has moved in, they all have kids, and I moved here because there were no kids when I got here. So now that I realize we're the seniors, now I'm having to get used to these kids. But they were right. It's a community where people are trying to get to. The housing is selling really fast. It's not on the market long. We had a house down the street from us, the sign was up a week. They had the open house Sunday, the sign was gone.
Yep.
I was like, so obviously we've got great demand. We're getting new residents. As long as we can continue to provide, services and things, people are going to continue to come. But it's been a pleasure. working with all of you all, and I wish you all continued success on the commission. And I'm sure you'll find a very great person to fill this seat.
Les, thank you so much, and also, I hope you participate in the master plan updating and join us in some of the conversations we have with the public.
I can do that.
Cool,
Yeah.
great.
As long as it's not next week.
No, we'll give you a little time off.
I'd like to say hi.
Hi.
It was really nice to meet you.
Sorry, that's so cool. It's nice. Nice to meet you too.
Nice
And
to hear
welcome, welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
But, a secret, he told me all about you.
Uh-oh.
So I know you're gonna do great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He said great things, so,
On behalf of the city council, I want to thank you as well.
thank you too.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, my hands are cold.
It's okay. My hands are warm.
Yeah, it's just
Hopefully I
cold.
warmed you up a little bit.
Yes, you did.
No, the city council, I think I can confidently speak for all 5 of us. So we really appreciate all the support that you provided to the council in your role as chair of this planning commission. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
If I may, before we adjourn, thank you
I was
again.
looking for
I
that word.
appreciate it. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to take less than a minute, I promise. A few quick things. Austin, I would appreciate it. I think it would be helpful if in the site development status updates, you provide some type of brief summary description of what the update, the theme
What's
of the update.
Okay.
So for example, 26600 Southfield Road, which I know to be the auto parts retail business. It's not necessarily clear by the description, so perhaps if there was another
I can do it
column.
under the
or-
address.
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
I can do that in my DDA report, so I can include that here as well.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, to the point of the master plan, I know that in the upcoming months, we'll begin a lot of work on that. I'd like to implore now, and I'll continue to do this over and over again, I think it will really benefit the community if at the forefront of all of this can be a dedication to community input, community input, community input, community input, in whichever form and as often as possible. I think that will be very important to the success of the plan and the general acceptance of the plan at large, including important input from some of the other commissions that may not necessarily be there by design. But I know that the master plan came up at our Historic District Commission meeting earlier this week, or perhaps that was last week. But I think their input would be invaluable, and I would like for this to be as broad of a tent as possible when we're considering updates to the master plan. I
And
think
we're
that's
actually
very
going to
important.
kick off the initial meeting for the master plan with a joint meeting with the boards and
Sure.
commissions. And also, we are lucky enough to have Giffords Webster working on it, which has Eric, who is a fantastic urban planner, and also Jill Baum, who is on the Michigan Planning Association's board and also trains other urban planners on public participation. So we are very lucky to have them.
Sure. The final thing, I don't know if this matters, we didn't vote to approve absences of our absent members tonight. Is
Not-
that essential?
Nope.
We did not.
Well, the direction from this body last month was that unless Austin gets notification that they're explaining why they're not going to be present, then if he does receive that, he'll convey that to this body, and then they can entertain a motion, but he indicated that he had no response from them, so.
Very good. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Any other information good of the board? The commission, I'm sorry. With that, I'll take the motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We're adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Did it. You made it to the
Made it to the end.